Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into a topic that's incredibly important, yet often misunderstood. That's autism. What is autism really? Beyond the stereotypes, how can we better understand and support those on the spectrum? Stick around as we explore the beauty of neurodiversity and break down some common myths. There is no doubt that there have been people from autism throughout the history. However, it was not until the 1930s that the first systematic study of autism took place in Boston, USA. Leo Kanner, he reported the findings of this study in 1943 in his paper Autistic Disturbance of Affective Contact. Kanner was a pioneer in the field of child psychiatry. His study began in 1938 when a fascinating 5-year-old, his name is Donald, was brought to his clinic. So, for Kanner, the defining features of autism were a profound autistic withdrawal, an obsessive desire for the preservation of sameness, a good rote memory, an intelligent and pensive expression, mutism or language without real communication intent, oversensitive to stimuli, a skillful relationship to objects. Scanner explained that he referred to the work of Bueller 1911 when choosing the word autism to describe what he saw. Now we are going to talk about autism trade of impairments: impairment of social interaction, impairment of social communication, impairment of social imagination. What is the diagnostic criteria? How we diagnose? Diagnostic criteria: diagnosis of autism continues to be based on the interpretation of a child's observed and reported behavior, which is not the most clear cut diagnostic tool. Although it is recognized that autism can occur whatever the intellectual capacity, many of the children may also have an additional general learning difficulty. This adds to the difficulty in diagnosis as it becomes increasingly difficult to separate the effect of autism and the effects of profound and other multiple difficulties. As yet, the cause of autism is unknown. It is felt that there is not one single cause, rather a set of triggers. Any one which, if it occurs at a certain time within a chain of circumstances, can cause autism, like biological, pregnancy, birth, neurochemical, neurological. It means the development of the brain. So, what are the key features of autism? Autism is characterized by significant impairment in three main areas of development. Typical features which represents in the early years, that includes first social interaction. So the young child on the autism spectrum, he cannot make sense of people and may find them frighteningly unpredictable. So seems to relate better to objects than to people. May only tolerate approaches from very familiar people. May only make approaches to people whom he know or she knows. May seem to use people only as a means to an end, perhaps to obtain something out of their own reach. Social interaction: the young child on the autism spectrum cannot make sense of people and may find them frighteningly unpredictable. Seems to relate better to objects than to people. May only tolerate approaches like from very familiar people. May only make approaches to people he knows very well, he or she knows. May seem to use people only as a means to an end. Poor eye contact: is usually unaware of simple social rules and conventions. The second, social communication. The young child on the autism spectrum is slow to develop speech and may not develop speech at all or not age appropriate. If he or she uses words, often uses them out of context and without communicative intent, and may echo the words of others straight away or later, or may use words and then lose them at approximately 18 months, shouting daddy, and after that he won't. By the age of 2 years completely may be silent, uses little communicative eye gaze, rarely understand or uses the gestures, So pointing out gestures may not be there. May develop a pointing gesture, but use it to indicate needs rather than to share an experience. Next, social imagination and flexibility of thought. The young child on the autism spectrum, he cannot easily make sense of sequence of events. He used to enter the playroom with a frown and then would stand against the wall from where he or she would watch what was going on. He would gradually edge towards the activity once he had been in the room for some time. May become distressed if a familiar routine activities or any change happens. So there was a child who was studying nursery, so upset, and the teachers were not understanding what was happening. And then they have understood that later they have moved some of the furniture, which the child was very comfortable sitting there. So now it is not there. So the child may sometimes feel very discomfort with that, may enforce routines on others, often engages in stereotyping body movements, turn around and round without even seeming to get dizzy. So these are some of the autism features. Sensory processing. Many younger children on the autism spectrum, they experience sensory processing difficulties which impact on their learning, behavior, and day-to-day functioning. So we receive sensory information in seven different senses, and effective sensory processing is necessary for us to make the appropriate behavioral responses. The child who's going through the autistic, they have the difficulties, and these difficulties include hypersensitivity or oversensitivity to input, and hyposensitivity or undersensitivity, and fluctuating levels of sensitivity will be there. So it is important to be alert to the possibility of sensory difficulties, as these are often hidden by the surface behavior. Sensory issues may be contributing to anxious or avoidance behavior, insisting or sameness or sadness or coordination difficulties, organization difficulties, overactive or passive behaviors, all this. Some of the children may also have difficulties in the senses. So, examples of how sensory issues can present in each of the senses. Let's take hearing, auditory. The child may be like hypersensitive, covering ears like this and humming loudly to block out noises, or hyposensitive, trying to create some strange noises. Sight, vision, overreaction to strong or artificial lights, or conversely, not being able to judge depth, smell, olfactory reaction to certain perfumes or other strong smells. And also, when it comes to taste, that is gustatory, rejecting particular foods or textures, choosing bland foods, seeking out strong tasting foods. Touch, tactile, being unable to tolerate scratchy clothing or labels in clothing, resisting certain activities such as teeth brushing, nails, all these things. So balance, vestibular, difficulty in fast moving sports or gym activities, difficulty managing dressing, undressing, hyposensitive when it comes sensation seeking, rocking, swinging, all that. Body awareness, proprioception, poor posture, clumsiness, low energy. The young child on the autism spectrum, they often make unusual sensory responses. Examples like in nursery, there was child always made a beeline for the water tray, where she repeatedly poured water down her like forehead, squinting to watch the drips fall from her fringe. So there was one more child. She used to sniff and lick each toy before she would pick it up. And there was one more child. He was very hypersensitive to sounds. He could not tolerate being in the same room as a vacuum cleaner. So these are some of the examples. So what I would say is that young children with autism have elements of these common features. Each child is individual, child is different, and how they present the symptoms are entirely different. We need to identify at the early age. I would like to illustrate one case study here as well. A 4-year-old child who attends the nursery school. Although he was like aloof, there is some evidence that his cognitive abilities fall within the average range observations, and also there are some observations done. He used to accept other children around him, but does not initiate any eye contact or any kind of contact. After 18 months, is an intensive input from a support assistant. He begins to initiate some contact with, her. So, especially in one-to-one activities, sometimes they may respond positively in the interactive sessions. Eye contact, you need to train them. Early development of language like babbling and around 6 months, 18 months, vocabulary of 18 to 20 words. And I have to give the age appropriate activities. All this needs to consistently put efforts in parenting also is very important here. So the child was very sensitive to slight change in the routine in sounds. He reacts very badly to the unexpected. He's very sensitive to slight changes in the routine and to certain sounds as well. He used to react very badly to the unexpected. It is very difficult for the child to shift their attention to activities not of his own choosing. He or doesn't engage in spontaneous, imaginative play, but the structured play always preferred, like imaginative play. In conclusion, I would say that autism is not a disorder to be fixed, but a way of experiencing and interacting with the world. By increasing the awareness, embracing neurodiversity, and fostering empathy, we can create an inclusive society where everyone feels valued for who they are. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Your support helps me to create more meaningful content like this, and feel free to leave a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I'll come. Huh.